lifelong dream was to buy a ranch and to just work the ranch and live from that. Well, one day they went out and bought the ranch, but afterwards they didn't have very much money left over to put livestock on the ranch. So the sisters were in their new ranch house, and they decided, well, one of them said to the other, said, I'm going to go ride my bike to a town that's a few miles away, because I heard that they're going to have this one rancher has some good cattle that he wants to get rid of. And so she goes to a little town a few miles away and gets with the rancher that's outside of town a little bit and says, you know, after looking at your herd, I see this one really good bull that I'd like to buy. And the rancher says, well, that's a really good prize bull, but he's getting near the end of his goodness, so I'm gonna sell him for $650. And she said, well, I've only got $600. That's all we've got left after we bought our ranch. And she said, what's your bottom dollar? And he said, well, my bottom dollar is $5.99. I'll give it to you for that, but I'm not going any lower. So she said, all right, I'll buy it. So she bought the bull for $5.99, then went to town and was going to call her sister. Told her before she left, said, I'll call you if I buy something, bring the truck, come get it. And so she wanted to call her sister, but in town everything was closed up at the telegraph office. So the telegraph office had an operator in it. She went to the telegraph office, and the telegraph office, the gentleman said, well, it cost you 99 cents a word to send something by telegraph. And she said, well, I've only got $1, so how am I going to do this? And so she thought for a minute, and then she said, okay, I'm ready. She explained what was going on to the telegraph officer, and she said, I want to send the word comfortable to her. And so the telegraph officer said, okay, I'll do it, but tell me, how is that word going to tell your sister to come with the truck? And he said, she's a real slow reader. Comfortable. I knew I was going to have to explain it, so don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. Comfortable. Okay. 2 weeks in a row on the way home, they're going to be laughing about laughing.
What chair?
Yeah, what chair? That's right. Let's say our statements of truth together. I am a child of God. I am deserving of good God. I am accepting my good now. Well, today's lesson is it enough? And when we ask ourselves that question, we have to have a lot more clarity on what it is, don't we? Is it enough? Well, you know, when I thought of that, after I thought of the title of today's lesson, and I thought of clarifying it reminded me back, and this is just me maybe, but reminded me back when President Clinton was in office and got into a little bit of trouble, and he was trying to explain his way out of it, and he said, well, it depends on what your definition of is. And so, this lesson is nothing like that. Okay? Nothing like that. Well, but when we ask ourselves the question, is it enough, we do have to have clarity about what it is. Because if we don't have clarity about what it is, who does that hurt? It only hurts us. So if we're not clear on what it is, we've got a problem. So, but in the spiritual and material sense, the it is always pulled from the same substance. And we've discussed what substance is before. What is substance? God stuff. That's right, God stuff. I wanted more of a robust answer, but that's okay. We'll get it later. Maybe we got over that in class more than on Sunday service. I don't know. Substance is God stuff. Yeah, later. And where is substance pulled from? Substance is pulled from what Charles Fillmore used to call the ethers. But the ethers is here in this room. The ethers is outside. The ethers is in you. The ethers is in you. The ethers is everywhere. In fact, this is what Charles Fillmore said about ether. The spiritual substance in which we live, move, and have our being, and out of which can be made whatever we desire. One with spiritual understanding knows that the ether exists as an emanation of mind and should not be confused in its limitations with matter. Its being, meaning ether, is governed and sustained by ideas. And ideas have no physical dimensions. You know, isn't it easy when we hear these things, how they all connect? And we can make sense of it. Sometimes when we're out on our own, you know, somebody asks us about unity or what we believe in, we're sitting there saying, duh. But, you know, this is what I love about, one of the many things I love about unity. It's not about us being able to explain what it is. It's us being able to feel it and live it. And it makes a difference in our life. It's not about someone else and telling them what we know to be the truth. The first sentence of this definition, though, just explains more and really just is affirming, once again, of something that we already know and we already say every week. And that is about God's omnipotence and omnipresence. God is everywhere present and all-powerful. The God stuff that has the power to achieve and have anything that we desire in our life is there at all times. Having this understanding of any time being able to create anything opens up unlimited possibilities for each of us, doesn't it? With that said, sometimes we look at the physical world through our eyes, physical eyes, and see limitations. But this is nothing more than our ego talking to us and trying to prevent us from some type of harm. Yet when we listen to the ego, we close off the possibility sometimes of the present moment. We have to be clear about where substance comes from or where it is, because when we know that substance comes from out here and in here, and we are connected to it at all times, then we get rid of all of those limitations that we may have had in the past. Substance is in the ethers, which is here, here, and everywhere, as I've said. Our awareness, though, of that substance is in our mind, and it is what we are currently focused on. So, you know, awareness in general meanings is what we are aware of in this present moment, which is easy to understand. That way, anybody out there, even not in unity, would probably understand that. But when the awareness opens up more and includes the spiritual self, it includes everything that you are aware of in this present moment, and it expands awareness. So there is a big difference. Now we can bring things into our awareness at this present moment that have very little, if anything, to do with this present moment, can't we? And we've all got our past experiences, and we may bring one of them into a present experience because that may be triggering something in us to remember, oh, and you know, this is a good example. You know, you hear somebody telling you a story, and then a lot of times, how do people respond when they hear a story? Oh, that reminds me when I... Well, that probably wasn't why they were telling you that story. Not to remind you of a time that when you did something, or it reminded you of something. So this could be past experiences, though, that are good or not so good, right? Of fear or failure. And it could be past experiences of confidence and success. These thoughts that are entering into our present moment by our ego are absolutely have nothing to do, though, with the possibilities that are going on right now in this now moment. And if we want to manifest whatever it is in a positive way, then we have to be open to the present moment. And where does all manifestation begin? I've already told you this answer. In our mind, in the idea. And if we are connected to, in our personal mind, our human mind, if we're connected to just this now moment, right here in this room, then what are we going to see? Just this now moment in this room. And that is going to be limited. But if we use this now moment to not only open our mind to what we see, but open our mind to our mind's eye with a capital M, then we are going to see all sorts of possibilities. Right now I'm looking at, oh, I don't know, Francie, how many would you say? Probably an 80% full sanctuary right now. Okay, 90, whatever you want to say. I'm seeing each one of your beautiful faces multiplied by 10 in this room right now. Because that's what we're going to see over at the new building. We're going to see that. Not for me. It's not for me. It's for us. It's for you. It's for you to be able to say, you know, I belong to Unity, and here's why. It's because it shows me a way to live that really is an expression of my Christ self. It's really what Jesus was talking about when he was explaining what we now know as Christianity, even though he never even heard the word. But I want to talk about this moment and what breeds success. Because when we talk about is it enough, usually we describe it as something. And so what is it that breeds success? It is given a force sometimes of confidence in this very moment and success, or it's given the idea of something from our past of failure, because it has reminded us of that failure. So does success breed success? You know, you've heard that. Yes, it does, and we've seen examples of that in different people in our lives. Maybe our own, but a lot of other people that we can point to that to. Success breeds success. But does failure breed failure? Yes, it does too. Why is that? It's because of our past experiences are coming into this now moment. But neither the success or failure of our previous experiences have anything to do with this now moment. So why do successful people seem to breed success? They don't, any more than you or I do. If you ask any successful person that has made his or her own way in this life that we see as successful, they will, to a person, tell you that they've had so many failures before that. And so what's the difference between success breeding success and failure breeding failure? It's because they are in this present moment. They are looking at the past and letting a failure that may be similar to what they're doing now enter into their thinking. They're looking at this present moment and going forward with all the possibilities that are here in front of us now. The lady with that come forward to bull. Come forward to bull. She had enough money to buy that bull. She wasn't worried about it. So neither previous success or previous failure has anything to do with the possibilities now. You know, there's a couple of stories I want to tell you. One is that I want you to think of a disease that we have in the world today. And usually most people, when they think of that, in fact we have heard, I think Linda or somebody say something about it earlier, and one thing that we think about sometimes is cancer. You know, a lot of people think of cancer. And I'm getting kind of tired of cancer. I really am, because here's why. You know, one of the reasons that we continue to have cancer in the world today, and I would say it's the main reason, is because we continue to tell ourselves that there is no cure for cancer. We have continually told us that. Although recently we have made strides, and I'm glad that at least it's getting out there from the medical community saying, yeah, we have made strides, and we look forward to the day when we can have this no more. But what have we done by telling us there's no cure to cancer into our present moment of consciousness? We've limited ourselves. We think that there's no cure, so we're not going to find a cure. I guarantee you we're not going to find a cure until we say, I can find a cure. And more than that, what does it say in the Bible? How do we treat cancer right now? How do we treat cancer cells? We try to kill them. I think I heard somebody say that. We're always trying to kill them. I want to tell you what one little boy, that Grace actually told Francie the story. Francie told me the story this morning that goes along with this. And you may have seen it on the internet. When did she see it? This week?
Yeah.
Maybe you've seen it on the internet. He was
8
years old boy. Was diagnosed with cancer, told he doesn't have that much longer to live. And so, you know, don't you love kids? They don't let things faze them too much. And so, you know why? Because they're still closer to God than we. They haven't gained all the knowledge that we have from this world. But he went online and decided, I'm going to just play some video games. And guess what he got onto? He got onto the old game Pac-Man. You remember that?
Right.
And you remember how Pac-Man is going around eating those dots? And he was just imagining to himself that that was just eating all those cancer cells out of his body. And this is a story that isn't recent that this all happened. It's happened a few years ago, and he is cancer-free now. I mean, all that stuff happens a lot. We don't hear about it all the time, but it happens a lot. And so, but what if we just looked at that cancer a little bit differently? Instead of telling us that it is something that is uncurable, what if we used our mind to say that these are some really strong cells? Because we know that medically. These are really aggressive cells, and that's the problem with cancer. Aggressive, and they eat all the good cells, and then your immunity is gone, and you die. What if those were turned into good cells? My good cells are aggressive, and they are going to go through my body and make me all healthy, strong, and it's going to work perfectly. The whole point of this is to see our awareness is in this present moment. People are always putting things on you. They're always going to be putting things on you. Good, bad, indifferent, depends on how we take it, too, a little bit. But their intention has something to do with it also. We just prayed for some people earlier. Our intention was good for those people. They're going to feel good from that. Now, there are some people that are going to wish ill on other people. And that's just giving power to something that doesn't exist. But it does have power because they've given their power to it. But it doesn't have to belong in our present moment. The only limit that we have is what we limit ourselves with. So the only limit to what you deserve in life is what you put your desire toward and your awareness of it being there in front of you with your name on it. We have to claim it. We have to claim our good. Whether we are experiencing good now or not, we have to claim our good for it to manifest. So what is it that is enough for you in your life? Is it a house, a spouse, 2 kids and a dog? The old version of everything being perfect? If your desire was to achieve that, or it as being that, then your awareness has said it was okay to have that in your life, then I'll bet that you either already have had it, or you're on your way to achieving it. Because you've accepted it for yourself. During this time of Lent, we have an opportunity to release everything but what this very moment has and what we desire. We can do that. Release everything except what holds in this very moment and what we desire. Until we do this, though, we are limiting ourselves on what it can be. Jesus was so aware of the Christ within himself. At times he could see and use his own God abilities and see what others would do. You know, we always, when we talk about God, and sometimes we talk about predestination. Well, I hope that most of us know that there isn't a predestination, but we all kind of agree that God, all-knowing, omniscient, all-knowing, knows if we make a choice this way, it's going to go this way. If we make a choice this way, it's going to go this way. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Jesus was connected into his God ability so much, he could see that for others sometimes, especially those close to him, like his disciples. And you all will remember this story where he exhibited that one time. And then, Peter said to him, "Lord, why can I not follow you right now? I will lay down my life for you." Jesus answered, "Will you lay down your life for me? Truly, truly, I say to you, the rooster will crow 3 times before 3 more times before you deny, or you will deny me 3 times before the bird crows." There, I got it. In other words, before the sun comes up tomorrow, you're going to deny me 3 times. However they said it back then. The story of Peter denying Jesus 3 times is in all 4 Gospels, which may not mean nothing to you right this second, but in theological terms, it's very important. Because Theologically speaking, when a story of Jesus' ministry appeared in all four Gospels, it's pretty darn sure they're true, because there are different accounts of the same story. And believe it or not, most of Jesus' ministry is not in all four Gospels. But this story of Peter denying Jesus 3 times before the next day is important. And why is it important to us today? It allows us to see that even a person who was very close to Jesus and was with him through his ministry, saw the wonderful things that he did and was able to express in his life, got caught up in the outer, the physical sense, consciousness of this part of life, instead of being aware of God in the moment. Peter wanted to go with Jesus. But Jesus, like many times in his life, wanted to be alone with God, wanted to be alone to pray. Instead of Peter understanding what Jesus needed to be alone, Peter questioned why he could not go. Jesus knew that Peter was coming from his ego self, and Peter was hurt. Jesus knew this. But Jesus also knew that Peter, like each of the disciples, was focused on their awareness of Him, of Jesus. They had focused their awareness, even though Jesus told them, God within you, they were focused on the God within Him. Which really is sad. It really is. So, Jesus physically leaving this earth was one of the best things that could have happened. Believe it or not. I know that might upset you, but it's one of the best things that could have happened. Because otherwise everybody would be looking at Jesus still. Please save me. I mean, sometimes we pray pleading, and that's okay if that's where we're at. But know that when we are pleading in a prayer, we are begging for a prayer to happen, something to happen, that we are in our ego self. That we are in our personality. We are not connecting to God as fully as we can at that time. When we see something that we want, we go within and tell God our desires, although God, the energy in the universe, already knows. All we have to do is manifest this. So Peter knew this, or rather Jesus knew this about Peter and all his disciples. In today's world, we look at someone who is successful as if that they didn't have any of the past failures. And I told you already that everyone that's successful has had failures in their life before that success. In fact, many people have been successful many times as far as financial, gone broke, and then been successful again. It didn't stop them. So we can't get caught up in this present moment just from a physical sense, from an ego self. Because if we understand that when we connect to God, that all things are possible, there is no limit to your success. And no one person, any amount you want to say, people have a corner on the market of success. See, sometimes we even get into that idea of thinking that, oh my gosh, he's made, well, let's say Bill Gates, the latest Forbes richest man. He's got billions of dollars. Oh my God, there's not enough for me. But good is unlimited. Good is unlimited. And if you're talking about you want some dollars in your life, then dollars are unlimited. You can look at the U.S. government printing all that money and see that. You think they stop printing money? No, sirree, Bob. They keep on printing. There's plenty. Plenty to go around. Plenty for you, no matter how much you want. If you want $1 billion, if you want to be the next Bill Gates, go for it. It's there, waiting for you. Claim it and do it. If we listen to the teachings of Jesus and our own teachings in unity, then we know that there's no difference between us and anyone we see as successful. Because each of us are endowed with the same ability, God abilities, that Jesus was endowed with. And if that is so, why does there seem to be so many differences of success in the world? Well, the answer is multi-layered, and it goes back to what it is. Is it enough? What our individual idea of success is different, aren't they? And it depends on really sometimes in where we are in life, age, and what we've experienced. Regrettably, though, most of our individual ideas of success come from our experiences in this part of life. We still are limiting ourselves from, since we were born into this part of life, to where we are now, 20 years old, 50 years old, whatever age our age is, how much we've experienced in that short span of time. And we're going to be laughing at this when we go on to our next phase of life, because we're going to see that this phase of life is just a blink of an eye. And we don't need to worry about what is going on, really, because we can have anything that we want in this part of life. So instead of letting failure shape their future or their present moment, the successful people that we think of are successful have released that failure in the past. They didn't let it come into their current awareness. And the universe, as you know, I've said many times, is set up for your success. God wants you, in fact, God created you to have everything and be unlimited in every way. Everything is just that. Whatever it is in your answer to what it is available to you. And it's all up to you. It's all up to each of us in our own life. We can choose to live in the glory of the gifts that the universe has to offer, or we can choose to live in something else. The only way that we can become the successful person that we are seeing in someone else is by seeing that successful person in the mirror. Seeing those same qualities. And the wonderful thing is, the kind of silly thing is that, sometimes when we have self-doubt and we're not seeing the successful person in ourselves, there are many others out there, I guarantee you, that look at you and see success in you. They're seeing it for you, and you're not seeing it for yourself. So we have those same qualities. When we have this viewpoint of seeing those qualities within us, we are seeing more of the truth of our own being. And we will be able to answer the question of the lesson today, is it enough? By saying yes. It definitely is enough because I am enough. And whatever it is that you're talking about in the material world, we can know beyond a shadow of a doubt that we currently possess it in our mind as an idea. And all we have to do is see it and allow it to create in our life. The building, I'm going to tell you one more story. The building is really an interesting deal. We've all had our dealings with it so far. And it's so fun because every week something new happens. And if you want to come to Thursday's meeting, that's great. You'll hear about some of them. But every week we've run into something that we didn't see or didn't foretell, something comes about that's a blessing that's going to help us through that. And it will continue to happen because we are all seeing this come to fruition. Yes. We are all allowing it, saying, yes, we do deserve it. Yes, it is possible. Yes. And so when we know that it is possible, we can allow it to happen. So once we go to Source, we will realize that we do have it. And not only that we have it now, but we'll also realize that we've always had it. So know that as you go forth this week, that God is blessing you not only now in this moment, but will be every moment forward and has all moments before. Thank you for being here today.